Hi guys, welcome back to Resilient Women Quadcast. I know it's been a really long time since I've been around, but quad life be lifing, and I needed to look for care after a year. And here we are. I'm returning back with Chelsea and Emily, and we're going to touch base on a really heavy topic, but I think it'll be good for us. And we're going to be talking about death and grief, and um, a little backstory is Chelsea did lose a friend during her car accident, and then Emily recently lost her boyfriend. So, Chelsea, you want to tell everyone what level injury you are to begin with?
Tell them about my level of injury. Sorry. Yeah, so I fractured my C3 to C6 vertebrae, but I am a C4 plus 6.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Emily?
I am a C5 incomplete quad.
Gotcha. I'm a C4, C5 as well. And yeah, so I guess we'll start with the questions. And Um, what was an experience of loss and grief that you once or recently experienced, Chelsea?
Yeah, so a little over 4 years ago, I was in a catastrophic car accident where my really close friend Sienna was driving, and she just overcorrected the wheel, and unfortunately, she passed away on impact. And I sustained a cervical spinal cord injury.
Gotcha. And what about you, Emily?
My boyfriend passed away this past December in a hit and run accident.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it's still pretty fresh.
Yeah. Um, I know it doesn't really, grief really comes in wave. And as for me, um, when I was when I was first newly injured, grief, you know, was already heavy because I was first injured and I was introduced to my friend George, who really showed me the ropes of what life with paralysis was like. And he abruptly passed away from, I believe, like a blood clot. And then the person that I started out this journey with, which was Darius, he was one of my best friends. And we had a falling out. And in 2020, August 2020, he also abruptly passed away, and I think it was from a seizure. So it was a huge blow to me. And so I was wondering, what did coping look like during the first few days and or months while, the reality was setting in for you guys of the situation that, they've passed? Chelsea?
Yeah, so the coping for me at first was non-existent,
Yeah,
just because I was fighting for my life in the ICU.
yeah.
And for honestly, like a couple of days, I wasn't sure if
Mm-hmm.
Sienna was alive or dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like pumped up with a bunch of pain meds and everything. So I was kind of going in and out of consciousnness, and I just really wasn't even there for quite a while afterwards. So coping for me was just non-existent. And about, I want to say about a week after my injuries, after my injuries when I found out that she had passed. And it hit me really hard. I almost had this like deep gut feeling that she was gone. And it just hurt so much. And I think it like helped me, not that her death like helped me stay strong, but I almost wanted to stay strong for me and for her at the same time,
Yeah.
through all of that. And I think just having like close family and friends there by my side and just praying, and having like a lot of prayer around me too was kind of what helped me in the beginning.
Gotcha, gotcha. At one at one point did they tell you that Sienna passed? When did you
So I think it was either like maybe 3 to 5 days afterwards, and I used this alphabetic like board to kind of communicate at that time because I was ventilator dependent, so I wasn't speaking or anything, and so I would basically, and I couldn't move my arms at all.
Yeah.
So I would basically, someone would kind of, put their finger on the board and go to each different letter. And so until I kind of spelled out what I wanted to. And I think it was my cousin Caitlin at the time. She went down to S, because her name starts with an S, and she knew right away what I was asking. And she just looked at me in the eyes, and I just knew she didn't even have to say anything. And we just of course, we both just started like crying. And that's kind of when I found out.
Gotcha. I see. That's really heavy. But thanks for sharing. And as for you, Emily, what was experiencing loss and grief that you experienced? I mean, what was coping like for you?
Yeah, I wanted to start by saying I'm sorry that's. I'm sorry, Chelsea. That's how you found out about that. For me, I just drink a lot. I started smoking a lot of weed. I would drink like tequila, vodka, straight, and I did that for a while. I actually feel like I just recently got to the point where, I'm not doing that anymore, but that's what I would do, get drunk and cry. And just work and get drunk and cry and work and just repeat the cycle. And I'm still really close to his brother. Yeah. So talking to him a lot has been, a good way for me to cope. Yeah. Too, because I'm still really close with his brother.
Yeah. I mean, and that's normal. I think we all find there's no healthy or unhealthy way to deal with, a situation like death. I know I turned to like self-medicating too, and in my situation, I didn't know how to deal with the pain. I
do see a counselor now too, though. That helped a lot.
That's going to be part of the question, and I can't wait to get into that too. But yeah, for me, I was kind of in a dark room, and I just isolated myself, and I think it made me kind of a hypochondriac too, because the way George passed away so abruptly, and he was my first friend. I saw how fragile life was, and then for Darius, I think I went down like a really dark rabbit hole where I was very like opiate dependent, and I was self-isolating a lot, and I think it was my sister who came into my room. It was like all dark, and I think I was just numb, and I think I was just going through, I felt like a zombie, just kind of going through the bugs, and it was just day in and day out, and very shell-shocked. Yeah. So, I guess in your experience, what were some of the hurdles of processing loss and coping with grief while living with a spinal cord injury? Chelsea?
Oh, what was
Yeah, what was like processing loss and coping with grief like while living with a spinal cord injury?
Yeah, I think the spinal cord injury made it 1,000 times harder and challenging, just in so many different ways. Because of like my level of injury, I'm unable to do a lot of things independently, and so having to always have people around me and just like depending on those around me constantly was really a struggle too, and just not having that like privacy and autonomy anymore to just kind of grieve by myself. Like and I just wanted to kind of just be by myself for a couple days or a week, you know what I mean, and just
Yeah.
be able to kind of, I don't know, kind of thoughts. And I felt as though I didn't have that in the beginning to go because of all of the changes and everything like that with
Uh-oh.
a new injury and then moving into and getting all settled in that way. So it was really kind of non-existent at first. And I personally don't think that I came to to that realization until about like a year into my injury. And that's when it really all hit me all of a sudden. And I just came to this like realization of my life and my level of injury and kind of like what the future was going to look like for me.
Yeah.
And that was really hard because it kind of all happened at once.
Yeah. Hey Chelsea, do you mind? Are you able to move your camera back a little? I think you might be a little close where there's kind of like double feedback.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah. Okay. Can you try say something? There's a little bit of
Is that
slight
better?
feedback. Sorry guys. Can you hear me, Chelsea?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just a little echoey.
Oh, okay. Let me try to back up. Maybe if we all kind of back up from our speakers, everyone can hear us a little better. But okay, thank you for sharing that, Chelsea. Yeah. I think the privacy part is what kind of is the painful part, like you don't really have the space to just grieve when you want. And yeah, how about you, Emily? What was it like for you? What were your
Like the
hurdles like?
grief. Sorry, go ahead.
What were your hurdles like, processing grief?
Um, well, for me at the time, I was trying to take the national counselor's exam when Zach passed away. So it was just kind of a blur. Like I needed to pass that test. So I would just, study and cry at the same time.
Yeah.
And it just all felt like very surreal. I don't know. You go through things and you wonder how you even got through them. And
Yeah.
that was that was this experience. I just would study and, when I wasn't studying, I would just drink in the evenings and go to bed and wake up and do it all over again.
Yeah.
So that was a hurdle for me. I didn't feel like studying, but like my life and career was on the line. It was like I didn't really get to grieve
Yeah.
right away, I feel like.
As a friend on the outside looking in, I still have no idea how you were able to do it, but I do commend you. And you know, I I always will believe in you, but I know like it's one of those things where you kind of have to believe in yourself. And I hope you know I'm so proud of you, and I know that wasn't easy. And
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay, so um, grief following death can always bring spells of regret. Is there anything you once struggled with or still do in regards to them when it comes to just anything you regret? Chelsea?
Yeah, do you mean like anything I regret um, from losing my friends or just in general?
Just yeah, your relationship with them and they're lost. Do you carry any
Yeah,
regret?
I would just say the only thing I really regret that day is making that choice to get in the car. Um, you know, at the time that day, Sienna and I were walking throughout the day. And we were, just taking it slow, just like a nice relaxing day, nothing wild, and it was just like another day. And I thought we were both fine, nothing, I don't know, we didn't seem like we were too intoxicated to drive or anything like that. But I because we had been like wine tasting all day, and we didn't leave until later in the afternoon. I want to say even the evening, 4 p.m. So okay, to get in
Yeah.
the car and everything. And so I think I kind of regret making that choice and not being more, I don't know, like strict on myself of just like, hey, like, let's just wait it out, call an Uber, or,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, something like that. So I think I just honestly just regret that choice that I made.
Yeah. What I hate even asking that question, but I know in life we all make decisions that we aren't happy with, but then you kind of just have to deal with it. But I think I was asking it so that we can say it out loud and kind of make peace with it, or it just feels good to say it out loud instead of kind of holding it on on the inside and letting it eat us alive, you know. But how
Yeah.
about you, Emily?
He called me like the day before, and I was in the middle of like watching a play,
Yeah.
so I didn't answer the phone. So I'll always like wish that I had answered that phone call.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know everything in hindsight, huh? Um, Thanks for sharing that with me. And as for me, something I regret is probably always feeling that I could have been like a better friend. You know?
Well, you were a good friend.
Yeah. I and I think that was the one thing that my sister saw me in my room isolating myself, and I had the conversation with her. And I told her that I wish I was there more for him, but we were both going through stuff. I wasn't mentally available or emotionally. And the one thing that she said to me that kind of gave me peace and like an epiphany is that like if we're both going through stuff, um who's to say who's a better friend or a worse friend? Like the tables are even, and I guess it's just to say that like you just never know. And yeah, but it's the one thing that kind of gave me peace after losing him. But yeah, so grief comes in waves and healing is never linear. How has coexisting with grief and their loss as you try to move forward in life? How has it been? Sorry.
Sorry, repeat it one more time.
Grief comes in waves. Sorry, let me collect myself. Grief comes in wave, and healing is never linear. So, how has coexisting with grief and their loss been since moving on? Since trying to move on with your life?
Yeah, it's been a crazy journey. There's times where, of course, like there's harder days and then there's easier days as well, but it never goes away
Yeah,
because I live with it every day. I live with my spinal cord injury every day.
yeah,
So it reminds me of the day that I made that choice to get in that car and that
yeah,
he had passed away. And so it's interesting. It's almost like, grieving every day, but as time goes on, it does get a little bit easier. Um, but yeah, I still think of her every single day. And,
yeah, yeah. I can imagine.
yeah.
It's interesting how your injury came out of like that one day and then her loss too. So it's a lot of reminders daily that I'm sure there's good days and bad days, and some days are heavier, some days are a little more bright. Um, how about you, Emily? How has coexisting with grief been for you?
Sorry, you cut out. Say it one more time.
How has coexisting with grief been ever since losing them and trying to move forward with life?
Like, did you say COVID?
Coexisting?
Oh, like I'm just getting mine on COVID. You said, okay, how I've like just been coexisting
With grief,
since.
yeah, and trying to move forward with life after losing them.
For me, I just like to stay busy. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's like a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like trying to find balance and allowing yourself to grieve, but also staying busy. Like when I'm busy, my mind's not getting an opportunity to think about it as much.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like I have to keep myself really busy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at least that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, yeah, everyone has their own coping mechanisms. I can't ever say what is healthy and what's unhealthy. You kind of just do what you got to do to, you know, get on by and move forward. And as for me, I same. I think it comes in waves. Sometimes I'm okay, sometimes I'm not. But I think for the most part, I've made peace with it. But there's always that one thing that randomly comes up, and reminds me of them. I I guess I would say the best way I coexist is also going to therapy and talking about it more, um, and forcing myself to actually look at their pictures because I used to avoid it a lot. It would be hard for me. Do you guys struggle with that too? At one point,
Mm,
like looking at their pictures?
yeah, it just makes you realize you'll never get to like have any more.
Yeah,
Like you won't get new pictures. You don't get to have new memories.
yeah,
Like that's where it stops and life just keeps going on,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Yeah, I think looking back at photos at times can be really difficult because, like Emily said, you know that you're never going to see them again,
yeah,
in this world. And that's like a hard pill to swallow, it makes it more
yeah,
real. But then there's times when I look back at photos and it brings me joy and I smile from it as well.
yeah.
So there's
Hmm.
like a bunch of like emotions that go into it.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it kind of just depends on like my attitude and mood that day and different things.
that's true. Yeah, I think I'm mostly like sometimes I feel like I didn't appreciate that moment a little more than I should have. Like I can still
Yeah.
remember what was happening, but I remember more how fun it was in that moment. But I don't think I was very present because it was just another time of seeing them. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so recently, what was a random triggering moment or memory of them that dredged up like immense grief and maybe brought you to tears? Chelsea?
I think for me, the most recent memory was my 4-year anniversary of the accident, which is June 18th. That always brings up so many different emotions and memories and just things. Because again, I'm not only grieving myself and my injury, I'm also grieving the loss of my friend at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that day is very challenging and very, yeah, brings like a whirlwind of emotions with it.
Yeah. I know the feeling because Darius's his accident was exactly a month after mine, so those are constant reminders that I have as well. How about you, Emily? What was something recently triggering for you?
Mm, it's probably just all of like the significant events. Like
Mhm.
he died the beginning of December, so Christmas was like pure hell. His birthday was in January, and then
Yeah.
Valentine's was in February. And I just feel like, with every season, with every, big thing, it's like I'm not doing that with him. I'm not having like those. memories. So to me, that is triggering, even just seeing like other couples, I feel like paralysis was enough to experience, so it's like, you know, when you finally have somebody that just loves you for you and then you just tragically lose them and you watch everybody else,
Yeah.
continue to date and get married and start a family and you're just reminded that you'll never have that with that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's triggering for me, like holidays and events and significant moments like that.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember how painfully afraid you were for the upcoming birthdays, holidays,
Yeah,
and like I can't say it's gone easier for you, but I just wanted to kind of bring that up to let you know like how far, you've come along. I mean, they're always going to be remembers, but I hope you're able to kind of move forward a little bit with a little bit less pain each year, and celebrate them.
yeah.
I mean, and what was that?
It definitely doesn't sting as much now as it did when it was just like a month or two in.
Yeah,
Like
it's
I
daunting in the beginning.
yeah, I mean I cried so much I went like to the ER because I gave myself like a massive headache, and I didn't know that you could actually cry so much that you can just totally like raise your blood pressure
Yeah,
to a
yeah.
dangerous level, and
It can really
that is
dehydrate you too.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. Wow. Yeah. Um, well, I'm glad you're okay right now, and here we are. But as for me, I uh, I recently posted a video of him, and hearing him laugh, it just hits you like a truck out of nowhere. His laugh just like absolutely just broke me, and I always think like, oh, I'm okay, like I made peace with it, and then randomly just one small video. And I still have the urge to kind of like bypass some videos because I'm so afraid to watch it. I don't know why. I can watch it once, but sometimes rewatching it again, like Chelsea said, my mood that day just won't let me go there. So yeah. But how do you guys self-soothe then whenever, the pain of their loss randomly hits you? Chelsea?
What was the question again?
How do you self-soothe yourself when, the pain of their loss randomly hits you?
Um, I cry a lot,
Hmm.
and that sometimes that I hate crying, but it actually really helps kind of like bring my nerves down and kind of relieve some of that stress and that sadness.
Yeah.
And so I'll just cry a lot, like in that moment, and I'll even journal. If I feel like it, I'll like journal in my phone on my notes app just to get everything out of my head. Like anything that's really just cycling through my head and
Yeah.
causing me more pain, I'll get it out and written down. And it feels good to like get it all out of my brain and know that it's down somewhere else. And I'll try to like put on some music that has more of that like good vibes, good energy to bring kind of just to bring that vibration back up. Uh, yeah, that's what I do.
That's good. That's very healthy. How about you, Emily?
I just let myself feel it. Like I don't know, it depends on where I'm at. Like if I'm at work, I just kind of have to like bite my tongue. Um, but if I'm like in my own like private space, I will just let myself cry.
Hmm.
Or I'll listen to music. Music has been like a really good outlet too. Yeah, just feeling it and listening to music, I feel like have really been helpful.
Yeah, I think music is a huge thing. For me, I definitely cried. De- I try to celebrate them in different ways, and music is for sure one thing. Well, me and Darius had very diverse taste in music. He loved Blackpink, which made me cringe at one point. And one night while I couldn't sleep, I was like, "Oh hell! Like let me just turn on this stupid documentary." And actually grew to really like them. And I almost brought his ashes with me to Coachella because Blackpink was there, but I think I would not ever forgive myself if I dropped his ashes somewhere in the field out there partying. So yeah. So did you guys ever attend any professional grief counseling? And if you did, like, did it help? Chelsea?
Just regular counseling for me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. How about you, Chelsea? Chelsea?
Yeah, for me, initially, I was working with a therapist while I was in the hospital, and then a couple months afterwards, which really helped out. And then I've been working with a therapist for about like a year now, and it's helped a lot. We kind of just talk about everything,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's been really, really helpful.
Same. Emily, like, when you went to grief counseling, was it was it covered by insurance or did you have to pay out of pocket also?
I still go to counseling. I literally see a counselor like virtually once a week. It's my
Yeah.
saving grace. I feel like I will like forever, but insurance did cover it, but there's still like a little fee, like part of like what they won't cover, where every time I have a session,
Yeah.
it's like 18, $20. Um, and it's ironic that you mentioned that because in the field of like counseling, like a lot of people don't get to keep counseling because their insurance will only cover so many sessions, and it is really expensive, and a lot of people can't pay, out of pocket. So to me, that's what I find difficult is, there's supposedly all these resources, but for a limited time offer, so I just, do it for as long as I, financially can.
Oh, I see. Um, what were some of the ways that they worked with you on your grief?
Um, I honestly just like talk therapy,
Yeah.
like talking about the way that they passed and talking about your memories with them and, what you liked about them and your relationship and, what you're doing for self care now. And I don't know, I don't think there's really a way to,
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just feel like talking about it.
Yeah.
Um, you could write like a grief letter. Like I've written a letter to him stating like what I would want to tell him, my favorite memories with him, like if I could do anything differently. Like it's very cathartic. I feel like journaling and writing like a letter to the deceased,
Yeah.
it's just a way to like release heavy emotions.
How about you, Chelsea? Did you do anything similar? I just went for behavioral therapy and it just emotionally vomited whatever came to mind. So I'm curious what specific grief counseling was like and if you had anything different, Chelsea.
No, so mine was actually very similar to both of you.
Hmm.
It's mostly just been like talk therapy. There hasn't been anything like specifically that we like any specific tools
Hmm.
that we're using or different modalities. It's more just like me talking and her kind of just like supporting that and working through that. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So it's not too different from what I went through then. Um, can you name a favorite moment or memory you had with them, Chelsea? You first.
yeah, I think well, one of the last times we had together, we went, it was just her and I, and we went to the beach and hung out, and we did like kind of like a little hike. and we just hung out up there and like listened to music and watched the sunset. And it was just like a really peaceful, beautiful day.
Oh, cool. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah,
I'm sure since you live near the beach, like it reminds you so much of her too, huh?
yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Emily?
I feel like the beach would be such a great place to just, I don't know, it just sounds peaceful. I wish that I was by a beach, but I don't count Galveston as one of them.
I've been there.
Yeah, it is a beach, but it's not really a beach. For me, it would be honestly, I feel like it wasn't our first date, but it was one of like the third or fourth dates, and we had gone like shopping and out to eat, and I did not know that like rain was in the forecast that day, and we got completely like soaked. Like I'm talking like through our clothes, like my chair, his car, like the cup holders were filled with water. Like that's how heavy of rain we had. And I just remember like we both were like laughing and like, why did this have to happen while we were out? And it was just a moment with him that I was just like, like this shit is ruining our date, but I'm so glad I'm like here with you
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I don't know, I just remember that it was a good day before it rained.
It's funny how when you're like with someone you just super like, it doesn't matter how crappy things go, like it's just
Yeah,
like, thank
it's
God
still
I'm here
great.
with you. That's really cute. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
As for me, oh gosh, there's so many, but me and Darius, he was always very mischievous, and I was very like I had a halo on, had tubes running in me, but he was always in his chair, and he always came in my room, was like, "Hey, do you want to hang out?" And I would tell him I'm too tired. And the one time I decided to like leave my room, and we're in the older building at my hospital. We went in the elevator, and the elevator broke down, and we were stuck, and two quads were in there. So his arm was stronger, so he's just like whacking at the numbers. And finally, like the door just opened, and yeah, that was the last time I went anywhere with him. But he was the
I
king
can
of
picture that.
mischief. What are some of the ways that you can celebrate them? So how would you celebrate Sienna, Chelsea? Or how do you like to celebrate her?
Whenever like her birthday comes, or even again the anniversary of like our accident, I always try to like celebrate it in a good way and almost make it like a birthday again, or
Yeah.
just like do something that I love to do that'll bring I don't know, my hopes up, and something that I'll just really enjoy, and surrounding myself with other people that love me, my life, and that it's very genuine. Anytime that I go on a hike or I'm out in nature and stuff, I do think about Sienna as well. And again, anytime I still go wine tasting, and anytime I'm out wine tasting, she's the one who always like pops up in my head,
Yeah.
because that's something we really like enjoyed doing together. And she lived in that area where there was a bunch of the really pretty wineries and stuff, and so I always think of her. And yeah, I try to just have joy with all of that rather than uh, sadness.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. How about you, Emily? How do you like to celebrate Zach?
Um, well, we used to like really like Jack Harlow, and we would like, bop that in his car. So whenever I'm like listening to music and Jack Harlow comes on, I'm like, okay, I know you're here, So I like listening to his music, but also just like making myself continue on with life. Like I feel like that's what he would want me to do, as
Yeah.
hard as that is. And I feel like that's how I celebrate, is to hold on to the memories. I don't want to allow myself, it's not that people forget, but time makes things fade.
Yeah.
And I just want to hold on to the memories that I have with him, in a way I feel like, and just talking about him, like I'll never not talk about him.
Yeah.
That's how I will celebrate him. Like everybody, will always know who he was. Even the next guy that I date, like they'll know him very well because
Yeah.
I'll be sure of it.
Yeah. And I think that's so important, for them to know you. I think a big part of you is actually Zach, so I'm glad you can celebrate him and kind of continue. Not that he's replacing, the current person, but he really is a big part of you. And yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that with me. And music is very constant. Although like the grief kind of fades, the feelings that we get with music and the memories really does stay. Because I was gonna say I celebrate Darius by every time I listen to Blackpink. I know it's him, and I also he was he was very big on skincare. And he was very Mr. Pro, like anti-aging stuff. And every time I take care of my skin, I think of him because I did not really care to take care of my skin. And it kind of puts in perspective because he was so focused on taking care of his skin for how he looks in the future, but he never made it to the future. So it really, things like that, you know, makes me realize to be a little more present in life, because we're always living for the future and another day and whatnot. And I think we kind of really forget to be present and with their losses and them not being around anymore. Whether it's anti-aging skincare or just their loss, it really reminds me to be a little more present in life. And yeah, so name what are some of the ways that I'm sorry. Do you have any advice for other quads experiencing a loss of a loved one, or going through grief and struggling with grief? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chelsea.
Yeah, I would say, as hard as it is, just be patient with yourself and know that, everybody's journey and what they experience is completely different. And like you said earlier, it's not linear. So, don't compare your like grieving journey or process with
Yeah.
anyone else's, because we're all individual and unique human beings that all grieve differently. And so just to try to keep that in mind moving forward. And again, with time, I don't know if it gets like easier, but just kind of how Emily said, like it kind of fades.
Yeah.
So it's not as like strong. And it's not as like hurtful. And so just trying to just be patient and recognize that like time will help. And also always reach out to your loved ones, a close friend, family member, whenever you're feeling really down or anything like that. Just always have somebody like that you genuinely love in your corner, and that you can reach out to, and just kind of find different ways that you like to decompress and different things that you really enjoy to kind of try to heal yourself internally too.
Yeah, that's great advice. Especially as someone myself who is notorious for self-isolating to deal with my emotions. It's fine to isolate to decompress and grieve, but I was isolating to and leaning more on like chemical dependency, and I just don't want. I hope that the next person doesn't kind of follow my route because it can kind of take you down this rabbit hole where you can't separate pain and kind of putting on and numbing yourself essentially from the pain. So great advice, Chelsea. Thank you. How about you, Emily? What are some coping ways and advices you would suggest for other quad?
Well, I mean, depending on how you lose somebody, I feel like a lot of people struggle with guilt,
Hmm.
like the shouldas, the couldas, the wouldas, and you can just go down the rabbit hole of hell.
Yeah.
So I would just tell people like, there's nothing that you could have done differently for the outcome to be different. You kind of have to like bring yourself back to a place of reality. Um, I know for me, like I mentioned earlier, I was, drinking quite a bit in the evenings, and it just made it worse, right? Because, if you're already depressed, alcohol is a depressant. So, I would do it and then I would, just cry and I would regret it. And so that's my advice too, is try not to run to the substances, because it does make things lonelier. And I do recommend going to counseling. I mean, it's been good for me. Um, I don't really have a whole bunch of advice. I wish it was as easy as just like pushing a button, but it's like grief is just there. It just kind of moves over a little bit in your heart. It doesn't go away. It just moves over a little bit, and you just learn to live without them. So, and that's the hardest part.
Yeah, good advice. I agree with you. Grief doesn't really fully go away. I think it's really, death is not something that you can just, you know,
Yeah.
easily erase. And I think my best advice is to just start somewhere, just take it one day and one moment at a time. I think, you know, I don't, if my sister didn't come into that dark room that I was isolating myself in and force me to kind of just start talking, because I trusted her, I did it. It was not, it didn't feel good doing it. It was painful. I did not want to believe that it was true, but um, when you kind of speak your actual pain and feelings into existence, then you can kind of heal a little bit. And you can't see it in the moment, but you know, each day that goes on, when you look back, you'll see all the stepping stones that you kind of took in order to heal and get to a more peaceful place. And my best advice is to, um, yeah, again, not just pace yourself. It's not easy walk in the park. But I guess that's it for today. And I just want to thank Chelsea and Emily for coming on and sharing such, such a vulnerable thing that happened to them and also myself. And you can follow us on Instagram, which is on our name tags here. And if you would like to buy some resilient apparel, the link is down below. And if you would like to donate to my car, which I'm planning to drive in the future, the link is also linked down below. And I realized my Instagram name tag is actually wrong, so it's actually resilient.shop. And yeah, hopefully you guys see it. If not, I'll edit it in the info box down below. And until
Mine's
next time.
wrong too.
Oh shoot, I'll link it
It's
down below.
alright. It's 21,
Okay,
not
gotcha.
24.
I'm sorry, guys. It's been a year. I'm
It's
rusty.
alright.
Yeah, hope you guys can bear with me. And I'm super awkward and it's new to me, but
Chelsea, I think yours is right.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
think mine's
sorry,
right.
guys. But okay, until next time, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, sorry, we have some questions here. Oh,
Oh,
oh, Ashley tuned in, and she says she's writing a blog on grief this week, and it's a very hard topic, and you guys can check out her blog too. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time, and thank you so much again. Okay, have a good
Love you
evening.
both.
Bye, guys.
bye. Bye. Bye.